Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Yes, guys, welcome back to the Cannon podcast and the instant reaction. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 0 at the Emirates. We mustn't forget it has been raining. I'm here with my boy, George VFC. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. It's very good to see you. I'm not very happy to do
you.
a reaction after what was arguably our worst performance since United. But
It wasn't good.
We move. We brown paper bag those.
Can I try a George V analogy?
Yeah, go for it.
I was cooking this up in the last few minutes. You can help me with this and sort of do your magic on it. It felt to me a little bit like a life poorly lived. Zero risk in the first half of the life, leading to confusion and chaos and fighting in the second. There's something in that, surely. That's my headline.
Yeah. It felt very retirement agey in a sense. It was not a good second half. I think, I'm struggling to make I think a missed opportunity is probably my most apt description that I can do, because I think a lot of the frustration that I'm feeling right now is because I wanted to make a personal statement. Like if I try to really blow this up and actually be serious here, we're still 6 points ahead. We're as far as the title race goes. But I looked at it, one senior fit attacker on Liverpool. I don't like Arne Slot. I feel that Liverpool in general are a team that I think that we have owed a spanking. We've given City their kind of comeuppance. Villa have given their comeuppance, and I wanted to give Liverpool comeuppance. And I felt that the longer that this game went on, we started playing the opposition as opposed to what team was in front of us. And I don't want to take away anything from Liverpool, who I thought were phenomenal, especially in the second half. I thought that some of their ball retention was much better than what they were showing in the previous, 8, 9, 10 games. I still think that they didn't really do much in terms of actual chances on net in the end, but still to push us back like that is something that I don't think I've seen this team do pretty much all season. So you have to credit that they were able to do that for the better part of 45 minutes in the second half. But it was one of those that I felt that the team in the second half, the fans were really up there for it. It wasn't a flat atmosphere. People were annoyed. And I don't know if I can point to an individual, mate. Like I was thinking about this as far as who was really good, and I'm struggling. Like the positives are going to be a struggle bus today. And when I see 10 or 11 players that are struggling, I think that's a bigger problem than 1 or 2 or something going wrong in the game, something like that. So I don't know why, and I don't think the coach wanted this, but there was a confusion in approach, certainly.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I think it felt like it could be a lift-off moment before the game. I know we didn't speak before the game, but my feeling about this game was this could be, I don't know when your moment was where you went, I think we're winning the league. Mine was that Newcastle game. I'm sure a lot of people's was the Villa game. This felt to me like the perfect opportunity. Thursday night, under the lights, the only game on TV in the UK. The world is watching. Liverpool are hurt, to go and put them to the sword and try and, beat them 3-4-5, whatever we can do. It didn't turn into that, and that's why you come away from it with a 0-0 against the reigning champions at home, and it had been raining, and you're not at your best, and you say okay, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it feels like 3 points dropped, and that's not 3 points dropped, 2 points dropped, and that's a real shame. In terms of the game itself, look, I think the first half I have frustration. I'm more willing to credit Liverpool in that first half. I think what they did in terms of their defensive structure was really interesting. What they were doing with Gakpo, they were giving us the space for the centre backs to step into, and we weren't using those spaces. And credit to them, because that was a very, very dangerous thing to do, and sort of giving us time there. I think they accepted that maybe we weren't going to use those central spaces with our number 9, who I'm going to get into this evening. And I was frustrated. And then and there was more things that I didn't feel we stretched them front to back enough. I felt as though we weren't moving the ball quick enough at times, although that's a bit of a, you could argue either way. Second half just became a game that we didn't control, both emotionally and sort of on the pitch. And I felt you could see it's tricky. And you want the intensity, but I struggle with Arteta this evening because you're getting a yellow card for stepping out your technical box, and then you're asking your players to calm down. You can't have it both ways. And it felt as though we got a little bit too emotional. The sort of the game was going back and forth, and it frustrated me. It really frustrated me that we couldn't control things. We weren't winning any second balls. It wasn't really a structural thing for me second half, because it just became this game of someone misplacing a pass and someone not standing in the right position, and someone not, Declan Rice putting the ball out of touch, all those things that never happened to us. So it was a really frustrating second half. Let's go back to the first half quickly, because I did feel Liverpool were very brave in what they did. We went man to man against Liverpool, which I thought, here we go, right? I'm excited for this. But I thought they gave us space for Saliba and Gabriel to step into, and we didn't use that. And I was frustrated with that.
I was frustrated by who was leaving, and I think Calafiori would have absolutely cooked in this game. Just given the game plan where basically they allowed play to progress through the outsides of our back three, and Saliba, who I actually thought was probably the only player, if I'm giving you somebody that I thought actually had a good game, I thought Saliba had a good game today. And he was really making an effort, especially in that first half, to carry and not really dive off responsibility, making sure to carry through the middle of the park. And I think that there was space between Van Dijk and Kirkes, there was that ball. And I thought Bukayo Saka in the first half had moments in which he was able to kind of really be a problem back there. And I just felt like, okay, while we were finding the ball to Timber, who was making some good underlapping runs, that wasn't the person I actually wanted receiving those balls, 8, 9 times out of 10. But we were doing, and there was an opportunity to do a bit more in those half spaces, because the space was on there and we were finding space off kind of the blindside runs there with it. So in a sense, I was kind of looking at a big frustration, because bar that, we would get it to the final third and then we would recycle. Once we got kind of to the end, I think Trossard had 1 or 2 moments in the first half that he does well to spin and, beat his man to come on the inside. And I thought, okay, we're just building in the first half. So I was able to kind of excuse what I felt like was slowly technical insecurity happening that was creeping into the first half, but it was nowhere near the second half, right? But yeah, the space was in the half spaces. And I do think that we could have done a bit better job of finding, some opportunities to have some kind of overloads there, especially down the right-hand side. There was a point in time in which I felt like, I think Odegaard was dropping really deep out of the block. Like there was times in which he was really between the center backs. And I just thought, I need somebody in the pocket for Bukayo to combine with. The space is there. Saliba's going to drive from deep. We need to have a bit more presence in the pockets. And, I do think when, I'm going to say this, when the weather is that terrible, you need quick passes and 1-2 touch, because the ball is going to be moving slick. So in terms of kind of those balls with pace in behind, they're going to carry, they're going to skid. So really what I'm looking for is kind of 1-2 touch wall passes and short passes as opposed to long. And I think we were just drawn into the long pass a bit too much, because there was a lot of times we found space, but the ball just ran out of touch.
Yeah. And I also felt in their press, there was a couple of moments, probably first 10 minutes, where we were stepping onto them quite aggressively and they were making mistake after mistake because of the weather. And we joke, but it's raining for both teams. And if you can use that advantage, there was a lot of balls going everywhere. And eventually we were foul of that. But especially that first 10 minutes when it was absolutely rocketing it down. Yeah. I wanted a bit more intensity there. I don't think Victor Gyökeres is good enough for Arsenal Football Club. I'm sorry. I see no evidence right now that suggests that he's good enough. And I'll go that far, because I know people will disagree with that, and people might say, that's it, fine, whatever. Right now, I see no evidence to suggest that this guy is good enough to play for us as a number 9. Let me put this game into context quickly. When Saliba is stepping forward and Gabriel stepping forward, what you have there is space for him to carry into. And then what you need is stretch in the last line. And if you're occupying centre-backs, who, by the way, have no fear of you at all, Gabriel, he did not win 1 duel against Van Dijk or Konate at any point during the game. If they know they've got the jump on you, if they know they're quicker than you, there's nothing you can do there. So you can't stretch them that way. They create these big spaces inside what you're talking about. So they sat in a 6. Gakpo was sat almost alongside Van Dijk with Frimpong, and they had that 4. And that's why Odegaard was having, as you were saying, Odegaard was having to drop out and receive really, really deep, really, really deep, because they had this 4 and then the spaces around the outside to go into. And where is the space that's in the middle? He doesn't want to come into that space because he knows he can't take the ball on the back foot and receive in that way. And he does it like once, but takes 5, 6, 7 touches to do that. Then finally, one of the only guarantees of sort of guaranteed moments of creation that we had were those 1v1 moments in isolation. So the ones I could think of, I'm sure there were more, were Saka going around McAllister, which was unbelievable. Declan Rice putting that ball in. And there was another one I'm sure you can remind me of. There was 3, I remember really specifically. And he's on his heels in the box. You're not stretching, you're not linking, and you're not a penalty box striker. So if you're having the least touches you have ever had in an Arsenal game, look it up. That's what happened this evening. I can't make a case for you that you can play in my team. If someone can make a case for it, I'm really, really open to listen. And I really hate doing this about a player, but I said November, December, I'll begin to be like, that's what I feel. It's January now. I don't think he's good enough to play for us. I'm sorry.
I struggle because I want to hold off until Kai Havertz is back, because I think when you see something, and then I think Kai has his issues as well, the annoying thing, but he will show you the extent of the limitations, I think. And that's really what it is with me. Like, I have always said that I found him incredibly limiting. And I think what frustrates me more than kind of some of the link up play, because I do think, look, somebody of his size needs to do better about being an outlet and a reference. But I don't think that'll ever be his game. What frustrates me, even the channel running that we're asking him to be, that's the type of striker he is. How often is he found in the box on the end of chances? If Victor Gyökeres was there and the ball was going past him or behind him, I would be having a very different story. But the ball is flashing across the 6-yard box far too often, with no one attacking that box. And the box movement is something that I've always said is, for me, inexcusable. Because when you're a type of striker that is, maybe not going to operate between the boxes, and you're asking yourself to be a finisher, movement is going to garner you touches of the ball. You can't just constantly say it's an entire team's fault when you have consistent periods in which he's garnering 4 or 5 touches every first half. And this idea that we haven't adapted, I think we have adapted to him. I don't think he's alone in this match. So I think I struggle, because for me, the midfield really, the balance was really poor today for me. I did mention Martin Odegaard, I think, dropping out of the block really deep. I don't think that we had enough people in the pockets, like the presence in the pockets. And if I'm looking at that, and I have to be fair, if I'm asking for a bit more presence and I'm not seeing Eze up until the 75th or the 80th minute, I'm frustrated. And when I'm looking for pocket dominance, I'm asking myself, Ethan, I know it's a big game, but hey, if we're asking a team that is struggling in the pockets, I thought the entire match, not just, first half or second half. It really was evident in the second half because we just sat back. But first half, even in the pockets, fine, if you're asking Martin Odegaard to drop off, but we have one of those in Zubimendi. Make a decision. We have the players that can affect it, but we didn't see our 2 pocket players. The only one we saw was Eze, and he came on in the 75th minute. Yeah. So the balance for me was off in midfield. But yeah, I mean, to tie it off, just to answer your question, I've been really strong and vocal on Victor Gyökeres. We've done so many videos on it. I'm kind of at the point in which he is such a limited player. It's getting to the point where if it's not really his fault, I don't know what else to say, because I'm this is just who he is. And it's kind of our fault that we've put ourselves in a position, given we know what we needed. And for a club that's so meticulous, 9 times out of 10, it's a blemish. But I can't, I find myself not being able to blame him, except for the box movement. I won't run away from that. I feel that is something that, as a striker who's a channel runner, you can expect him to have much better box movement. He doesn't have to be this static. He can be more dynamic in the box. He can get his shots off quicker, and he can work angles a lot better. Those are things that are well within his profile ability to do. Mm-hmm. But the rest, it's a frustrating blemish.
We have to be clear what we're asking, and you're right. It's not his fault. We're asking for so much, but he's not the guy, and it's okay to say that. It's like we're asking for a top 5 centre forward, maybe top 10 centre forward in the world, for what we really want. And maybe Kai Havertz can get there, and we'll look at his game when he comes back and see his fitness, etc. But even the stuff that we feel, okay, whether it's when Kai Havertz comes back, we can expect some more channel running. Well, he's not doing that this evening. I don't think he backs himself in those foot races between Van Dijk and Konate. And it comes down to that. And, you could say, well, it's Van Dijk and Konate. Okay, well, what about all the other games where he's not backing himself in those races? Declan Rice did an interview with Mikel Arteta earlier on this week, talking about Mikel Arteta earlier on this week. And he said that one of the things that Mikel has been stressing is those early balls forward. And we've seen that in the first half of this season. We've seen so many early balls. Arsenal played more, every single player in the team played more long balls. You can't give it me service conversations. Every single player in the team has played more long balls. What more do you want? And still, it's not worked. And it comes back to it. How can Jesus have so many more touches? Okay, he's not perfect. He's finishing probably, if you gave me 9 times out of 10, I'd probably prefer Gyökeres. But you need to put yourself in the situation. It's really frustrating. I think that maybe the saving grace, as we've always said, is Kai Havertz and Gyökeres being in game states that suit him a bit more. But I still don't think he's ever going to be good enough to be the number 9 for Arsenal Football Club. I'm sorry, on a consistent basis. Let's look at the stats. These are from Scott Willis. 0 goals to 0 goals. We did win on expected goals, though, George, and we had 1 more shot. Well, hey, 4 on target, and they had 0 on target. Passes completed. They completed more passes than us. They had more final third entries than us. We created more expected threats. We had double their deep touches. We had over double their zone 14 touches. We had more progressive passes, but they did have more possession than us. There's the running XG. I don't know what that chance would be. That's our chance.
At the end of the half, too, is end of the half. I'm struggling with.
Can't remember that one. That's probably the Gabriel one, which could have won the game, man. Could have won the game. There's the shot map. Liverpool on the right and us on the left. And then the field tilt, which we did win, of course. I think that kind of shows the story of the game a little bit. 2 pretty dominant first half with maybe a little period for them, and then a pretty dominant second half for them before the game at the end. It was one of those games, though, George, that say that Gabriel header had gone in. We're having a different, in the same way that the Wolves game or other games we won late in that way, we're having a completely different conversation. And for all of our flaws, I did think we did enough to win the game. I think.
It's so tough because I like the first half was genuinely fine. I think I wasn't again, I had annoyance in our pockets, kind of like I talked about a bit more, but it's more the second half. I have a bad aftertaste having seen that 45 minutes where I haven't seen a team pen us in that long, that consistently. And more so, I think I'm just more frustrated that I wanted, and I don't know if this is fair, I wanted a 4-1. Can you say that?
Yeah.
Can you just be honest? I walked into this game and I wanted it to be a huge scoreline. I wanted to embarrass them. And it was just a highly contested match against a team that was playing very well. That's on the back of 9 unbeaten. Is it 10 now unbeaten in the league? But didn't have a record. They only had 1 senior fit attacker. And I'm doing that analysis where I'm if I'm simming this game, it should be a 3-1, 4-1. I wanted it. The fans are up for it. We do the TIFO, and all it needed was that quick start. But it wasn't to be. And I do think that I'm going to hold off.
You're going to say the weather? I do think so.
I don't know if it's the weather, but I was just going to say that's probably one of the worst midfield performances I've seen from Arsenal all season. That's the only thing. And it's the first time I've seen it. After we've just had a press conference talking about how close in age all 3 of the midfielders are in terms of how their connection and able to perform. It's just one of the worst ones that I've seen them perform. And, it's weird, mate. I also don't want to remove part of this analysis where I have been there as a player where you're performing dog. And you're like, I am so bad, but I'm trying. And it's just not coming off. There was, and it was like that from every single player. It wasn't just one player doing that, although I really think the midfield was just so poor, but the whole team didn't have that. I mean, Raya seemed nervy. I look at, Timber had some really good moments in the first half as far as, going beyond in the half space, but afterwards the defense wasn't able to really string more than 3, 4, 5 passes together. So I struggle. And I'm normally I look to the coach when the entire team struggles for that long. But I'm like, even he was so emotional. And I wonder, you'll know this from like a psychology sense. There's this thing, and like I know major pause, but an arousal thing, which is a psychological trait about how motivated or excited you might be. And a lot of times you have this parabola. So you can have too much excitement, which leads to really poor performance, and too little excitement so that you're not up for it leads to poor performance. You need to strike a good balance in which you're not one way or the other. And I just wonder if everybody was at a 10, and I don't know. I'm trying to find an explanation because I did not recognize my team in the second half. And I don't say that often. I just didn't recognize them.
Yeah. As I said about Arteta, I didn't love. He was so angry on the touchline and then saying, calm down. It's like, mate, you don't get it both ways. Like, play full intensity or chill it.
Yeah.
There's the table. We are still 6 points clear. And also, it's worth saying that in terms of the games coming up, we've got the United game at home, which, realistically we should be winning. But I'm talking about big traditional Big Six games left. We've got the United game at home. We've got the Spurs game away end of February. Then we've got at home against Chelsea, which again we should be winning. The one game I look at and go, is the City game away in April. That's the one Big Six game I look at remaining where I say, I really worry about us. Not really worry, but that's going to be a tough game. We have completed at home against Liverpool. We've completed at home against Villa. We've gone away to Villa. We've gone away to Stamford Bridge. We've beaten Spurs at home. We've gone away to Sunderland. I know people want it's not Big Six, but this season that's caused everyone issues, and we've done that. We've gone away to St James's Park. We played City at home. We've gone away to Old Trafford. We've gone away to Anfield. Like, I do think a lot of these tests, if you look at this run-in, actually, I'm going to read it out because I think it's worth saying. Let me just share it on my screen. Give me a sec. Because I do think this is, especially because we are 6 points clear, I think it's worth having a look at this. Remaining fixtures. We are away at Forest. Then we're at home against Man United. Then we're away at Ellen Road. Then we are at home against Sunderland, away against Brentford, away against Spurs. Then we're at home against Chelsea. We're away against Brighton, at home against Everton, away against Wolves, at home against Bournemouth, away against City, the big one, at home against Newcastle, at home against Fulham, away against West Ham, at home against Burnley, and away at Crystal Palace. I don't know about you, George, but when I look through that and consider the position we're in, I still feel really, really positive, especially because that's game week 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
32?
33.
33?
So that's game week 33. And even if that goes awry, there's still time in that last little package to bring it around. So I still feel positive looking at that.
I mean, the top 4 all drew this game week. I don't think it's coincidence. Look, in a week that Arsenal have done the business in terms of getting, points on Manchester City twice in a row, and then we're upset it's not 3 times in a row, and we're upset that it hasn't gone to 8 points, I think is a little bit rich. Again, I need to be fair. I do think a lot of it has to do with Liverpool, what they are this season.
Yeah.
Without also the recognized forwards that they have, because it's fair. I mean, they don't have Salah, Isak is out, and no Hugo, like a TK, and you're looking at that and you're licking your lips and you're like, this is the moment where I'm going to get revenge. And I think that there's going to be a lot of analysis and emotional response to that, more so than how we already know that after a poor result and when we drop points, what it's like given the expectations this season. But I do think there's an underbelly of that. But we do need to remind ourselves, we really do. We are 6 points ahead. You have a look at this. I'm not afraid of this team. I do think it was just a second half that I don't recognize. If that becomes a pattern, if I see another game like that, then yes, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. But if you're going to say that 45 minutes,
we're second half FC, mate.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, I'm very frustrated because I just really wanted to win.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, and you're talking about it, and you've got a game in which you're not at it, you don't lose it. That's just my mentality, especially against so-called title rivals and those in the traditional top 6, right? Like, if you're not at it, you get a draw and you move on, especially in Christmas fixtures that come thick and fast.
Let's get to your super chats from T Blake Music. Says top 10 haram moments in football. I think I know what that means. Maybe that goes in the top 10. Thank you, Tom, for your T Blake for your super chat. John says midfield vanished, captain and anonymous, Brazilian cramp twins, invisible, dog water performance, back 4, too many touches, says it all. Who are the Brazilian cramp twins?
The Brazilian.
Jesus and Martinelli?
Maybe, or Big
It
Gabby.
couldn't have been Gabriel. Gabriel was brilliant this evening, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought he defended really. He had a couple of shots from Soboslai that I think he dealt with really well. That's the thing. Is fun. Like I look in terms of, we haven't discussed the individuals much, but maybe we will through the rest of this. But I thought Raya was all right. I thought Timber had a good night. I thought Saliba had a really good night. I thought Gabriel had a good night. Nkapia was okay. The midfield was probably off it a little bit, but that to me that was to do with how they set up and what they knew we couldn't do with our centre forward. And Saka was good first half. I thought Trossard was all right. Do you know what I mean? Like it didn't. It felt like the game sort of everyone dropped off a cliff in the second half. Like I don't look around at a load of individuals where I go, oh my god, you had a terrible evening. It was just a poor performance from every. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I struggle. Like there wasn't even an attempt. Like normally I can say like there was an attempt. We tried to play a certain way and we couldn't. I like the second half, it was beyond that. You know what I mean? Like we couldn't string the ball together. And the only thing I will say is the pocket presence. That's the one thing I'll maintain here. I thought that there was a gap there. We had players. And I mean, of course, Ethan's actually not even in the team sheet. So I couldn't ask for him necessarily, but you know, with Eze not coming on earlier, given that was the hole and that was the issue, that's probably one of the biggest things. And I think when a team can't string a pass together for more than 3 passes straight, look, I just naturally say, okay, that's a coaching issue. I don't know what, and I don't think he said, boys, string 2 passes together. Like, I don't think that was the intent, and I don't know what it was. I'd have to go back on a rewatch to really see, because I don't know if we were doing something that I wasn't seeing in the first half. We just sat off. It was just very passive. It was very static. No one was making runs. And then when we got the ball after a turnover, who was showing? No one was showing. There was a lot of fear in terms of that. And I don't know why. And I doubt it that, you know, after halftime, given our responses, by the way, in second halves, and how often this season our second halves have been better than the first half. This is probably one of the first games. In fact, I don't know if I know another game in which the second half was so bad and the first half was better this season. So I don't know. It's an anomaly. It's an outlier. So I don't know.
Felt like 24-25.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eve 1990. Eve M 1990. Actually, we are on the same point gap as expected. I don't quite know what you mean, but
we are still 6 points ahead.
We're 6 points ahead, so I'll take that. Thank you for the super chat. Tipsy, worse than United away, static and predictable. I think if United away, if that had happened in the opposite, like we'd had that performance against United today and the Liverpool game, then I think we'd probably feel the opposite. I think it's about where it is in the season, what's at stake, all those sorts of things. I understand this, but like, yeah. Poor today, but Martinelli on Bradley, inexcusable. I didn't love it. I think, and I'm not trying to excuse Martinelli here, but I think what he saw from the replay was Bradley coming back onto the pitch, and I don't know whether he was writhing in pain, or I don't know. I literally don't know. But what I'm trying to understand Martinelli's actions. Bradley comes back onto the pitch for whatever reason. Obviously, if he's injured, fairs. Yeah, I mean, speedy recovery if it's a bad one. But yeah, Martinelli shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever an excuse when someone's injured, period. Like whether they're injured or not, don't go for the injured player. Go if you want, have a go at like a teammate or something, or a ref or something to get going. I again, even if there was not an injury, like I wouldn't love going, just the idea of it.
there's always in every situation in life, there's reasons and there's excuses, and that was a reason. It's not an excuse. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I like that.
McGlovin says MLS legit runs like a plus size model. Also Raya. Yeah, George. I was gonna say your boy, but at this point, our boy. It's not great at the minute. It's not great. And I'm not even talking about the foot race particularly. Yeah. There was a couple of moments where he received it in the pocket and he turned and he looked all right. He just looks a little bit disengaged, is what I feel. He looks a little bit like, it's like he's just woken up. You know that thing? I'm really bad in the mornings, and basically you'll get about 3 words out of me until about. You're lucky we record at my 1 o'clock and your 7 a.m. If it was the other way around, we'd be done, mate. But it's like me in the mornings. I'm just like, yeah, it's that kind of thing, grogginess, and I don't know what it is. It feels disengaged to me.
Yeah, reflective of his status in the team in a little bit. His play seems an afterthought, and he seems an afterthought in terms of his usage. So and so goes down, we'll bring on Miles. And there's
third choice now.
Yeah, there's just a choice. Yeah, there's just a recalibration that needs to be found there from both player and team. Because disengaged, I think, is the right term, and I think a lot of his play too it's not sharp. There's less about proving a point, I think, at this point, and it's not like a lot of the stuff I'm seeing are just things we did not like. I know it's not him, so it's frustrating. Like there's that point in the half where I think a lot of people are going to get frustrated with Frimpong over the top. That for me isn't the frustrating. You know what my frustrating thing is? When he turns and he passes into midfield into nobody. I go, okay, hold on. That's not you. That is something that, I know that zone. You can find people, and he does do a really good thing where he is actually high in the pocket. He turns and he releases Martinelli, who's offside. Like that. There's moments, but it's like, again, I have to be fair, right? It's a player and a boy that I love, but like if I'm looking for moments, his play seems delayed, and I don't think that's him. He's at his best when he's aggressive, proactive. He's nippy. I wouldn't describe Miles as slow or plus. Like when I'm describing him that way, there's an issue, and if anything, physically have always been something of his strength. So. There's something to be said there for sure. I think that he needs to have a talk or something, and there needs to be just a bit more aggression and not just. It seems complacent almost. Like there's times in which he's trying to shield and he's getting bundled off the ball. That's not second season syndrome. That's you not preparing yourself for the duel. You know what I mean? And that's like your superstar strength. Like that is something that I would ask players to look at you as an example for, but you're not doing it. So there is a bit of a disengagement thing there, I think.
Yeah, and like, Wilshere came through and then went out on loan to Bolton. Like it happens. I think we had this big explosion, and I'm not saying Miles needs to go on loan, but I'm saying that you have peaks and troughs of a development, and I just think maybe he needs to maybe he's a player who needs to feel more important and more loved, and that's fine. I think there's certain players who you can feel ride off the crowd and ride off that sort of love for them, and maybe he feels he's in a bit of a by the dip moment, and that's fine. I mean, he'll come through that. He watch the performance against Rodrigo. You can't tell me this isn't a guy who's at the level, right? But I think he's just in a bit of a mental state right now where he's probably just seeing the long road ahead of him. I'd be open, honestly. Especially if we sign a midfielder, I'd be open to a loan. Not both him and Ethan, but one of them. I'd be open to it.
I'm definitely more open to Ethan, mainly because of Madueke, and Eze and Odegaard and what we've got as far as Pratt and Saka. Like there's 4 there for 2.
If we get Gehi, you can go.
Yeah. I'm a lot more open to the Ethan. I just think with the Miles, like, again, it would be a conversation where, it would be kind of a Gabriel Hines pet project where I would just say, listen, like, you need to approach things in the way that I think we know that you can, and just be proactive. Your best play has been always proactive. It's been on the front foot. Everything's just a little bit flat-footed and an afterthought right now. That's it.
Conscious of time a little bit. We've got quite a few super chats. Thank you so much for joining us on the Instant Reaction. Make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Nearly 2,000 of you watching live. John Khalid. I never know how to say your name, John.
Kaliki?
One day you got to tell me. I'm going to go Kaliji. That sounds cooler. Number 14, terrible, but so is number 9, and number 29 is broken. Yeah, by the sounds of things, Havertz is close, so hopefully we'll see maybe some minutes against Portsmouth, and then we'll be back, because that would save my eyes, mate. Akash, not winning anything with the handbrake on. Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I don't feel we had the handbrake on this season, and I think you can only put the handbrake on when you're in the car, in the seat, and it felt like Liverpool didn't help us get in the seat at any point. You need to have your feet under the table a little bit, to use another analogy. So
yeah, we picked up an Uber today.
I agree, but I don't think, for me, I don't think this is like a theme. This wasn't a game I sat there going, "Oh, the classic themes. Here we go again."
No.
So yeah. Alexandre says Gyökeres made me want Jesus. Jesus made me miss Gyökeres. But you know what it is, man? Like the thing is, I saw someone put some numbers. Where is it? So Jesus had 11 touches in 26 minutes, and Gyökeres had 8 touches in 64 minutes, and we had something like 25% possession of the ball in the second half. Like, it's about availability and generating football, and I would rather someone who generates football being on the pitch and not expect them. And by the way, like, is Jesus for me the guy to take us over the top and be our striker? No, he's also not that guy. But for me, because he generates so much more in his play than Gyökeres, yeah, that's why I pick him over him. I pick Marino right now. McLovin, games like these is where Big Gabby's ball ability is sus. Agree? I
don't know if sus is the right word, but I don't know if we had Calafiori, I don't know if this game goes the way that it does. I also don't know if that's enough of a big enough topic point here. Calafiori has been one of our better players this season. That is an incredibly big miss. When I'm looking for a team that does look uninspired and like the thrust from deep, Boz, like, he is probably one of the best players as far as being, as far as being dynamic in the back line. He's somebody that gets us out, and the movement that he would just cause. I think that we really missed that, and we didn't seem to have anything up top to go long to, so we couldn't work off that. And so then when we look at the midfield also being away, it's like, okay, well, at what final third are we gonna have something to do with here, you know? And I don't know if his ability is sus. I think he's one of the braver passes in the back line. I think also he was fine to me today. I didn't see anything massive. I think maybe some of that is caveated with like the goal he gave up recently, but I do think there's a difference between him and Calafiori, if that's the question, and down the left-hand side. And, you know, there's certainly is a difference in their ball playing ability, but I don't think he's sus in games like this, you know, broadly.
No, I thought he was one of our better defenders. Why were we going long all second half? It did not lead to anything. Also taking too long on the ball, way too many touches by everyone. Yeah, I think the touch here, we spoke about the long balls. I think the touches thing is symptomatic of when you don't have control of a game and you want to get it back under your control, and like, you can't play quick when everything is, you've not won a second ball in 10 minutes. We didn't have a shot from like 40th minute to 80th minute or something. And we just wanted, there was moments in the second half you could feel everyone going, oh, right, let's get our foot back on the ball, and then we give it away again. So it's tough, man. It's really tough. Tinstian. Sure. It felt like a Marino game, not Jesus. I did feel a Marino game. I can't lie. I would have preferred Marino than over Jesus. Just personally.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the thinking was to add, like, because Jesus wants to drop off in the pockets, and I think Mikel could see the pockets were an issue, I guess. So I don't think it worked, and I don't know if Marino would have been able to do something against Konate and Virgil van Dijk. Like, those are very strong people as far as occupying, but we didn't have anything in the box, and Jesus was ineffective in the pockets. So it was like, you know, you didn't solve the thing that you were brought on to do. So you're like, okay, well, can we look at the other guy to solve the thing that we didn't see all game too? Right?
Akash says, Enrique is available in the summer. Should we be in? Guys, we're top of the Premier League by 6 points. We need
to have some composure.
We're top of the Premier League by 6 points. We're top of the Champions League by 3 points.
I'm upset. It's a bad game. It happens. though. Like, it's fine. Oh goodness,
You know, PSG is second in Ligue 1.
I did not know that. No.
What's their results so far this season? Yeah, they got through on penalties in the Trophée des Champions. Where are the results? Yeah, they drew against Athletic Club recently. So in a parallel universe, George and Alex are on a PSG podcast calling for Mikel Arteta. We've just got to remain composed. Tinstjun felt like some played the occasion, not the game. Completely agree with that. I think, definitely. I think definitely the likes of. I think Martinelli as well is probably a little bit guilty of that. His decision making in the final third a couple of times. I thought that's a headline. I can see the shot. I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Can you debate this? Gyökeres is the worst senior striker signed in the Emirates era, below Park Chu-young. Even Shamak scored more. Look, I don't think Gyökeres is good enough for what we want to do, but he's not that bad. Like, Gyökeres has quality, and this is the thing. He obviously has qualities, but what we're asking him to do is win us a title, not on his own, but be part of a team that wins us a title. And there are so many. There's like a job description for a centre forward at Arsenal. And I don't expect you. I never expect Gyökeres to come in and tick every single one. Like maybe an Isak could have been close to, or something like that. But the things you are good at, I need you to be good at, and he's not. That's the point. I don't think he's the worst. Like if you played Gyökeres, in that era, he actually, to be honest, in that era, he'd be probably quite well. He probably could play better about 10 years ago.
Yeah, more space. Look, I've said what I've had to say on Gyökeres. The one thing I will say, I am tired of celebrating on a day that we get a Mark Gahey link, which, by the way, I love the link. But I look at my defense, and it is the Stallions behind, and I look at my front line, and I don't have that same feeling. And it's off the back of years that I feel that we haven't had a serious forward recruit, where I thought Trossard was a brilliant acquisition. He's done really well in the fullness of time. But I'm talking about a superstar forward. I don't care where you want to put it. I would just want superstar forward recruitment, like one in the last 2-3 years. That's what I'm frustrated with, and that's honestly it. Like it's got to the point in which you can help me if I'm wrong. I don't know if we've recruited a superstar forward since Mikel's been here in 6 years. And I think that's not good enough.
Probably. He's closest, but again, he's not. He's not like it's not like a guarantee. It's more of a culture. If he didn't have that cultural attachment, we'd all be going, "That's a really good player."
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
There's
think
been good players,
not
but like,
that, no,
but you don't have to look like you look at Mark Gahey.
Yeah.
You look at Mark Gahey, and you're like, "Oh, how are we going to find minutes?" But you know what? That's hilarious. Of course, Arsenal are in for one of the best center backs in the league. But then it's like, okay, like I've got that, but I don't have to squint to see the defenders. They're all there. They're quality. They're great. But for goodness sakes, like 6 years, I just want quality that I don't have to squint to see. That's all I ask.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mate, completely agree. What did you make of the Martinelli Bradley situation? Spoke about that a little bit earlier, but appreciate your super chat. Mike, Jock is by far the worst striker seen at this club. Good Lord. Moritz, why did Odegaard drop so... He isn't. Like, he's not good enough for us right now because of what we're trying to do, but he isn't. Why did Odegaard drop so deep? We needed creativity. We sort of covered this a little bit earlier in terms of the tactical section, what we felt like Liverpool were doing. We're cooked for strikers, says Ali Deary 2835 from your neck of the woods, I think. We're cooked for strikers. 14, don't have to explain. Jesus has no legs and Havertz hasn't played football in a year. Eze or Waneri false 9, try something. If Havertz isn't working, are you open to seeing an Eze or a Waneri false 9? I'd kind of be up for that.
I don't know about Eze, definitely Ethan. I've spoken about Ethan false 9 as like my out there tactico-y kind of thing that I'd like to see. Look, it's difficult, man. Like I don't know what to do because I think that striker has the most prime age backlog on our team, but with the poorest quality spread. And it's like those are areas, I've suggested this so many times. I just haven't seen it. Martinelli at 9 is something that I felt like is an unexplored avenue. We just haven't seen it, so I'm not going to keep suggesting something, but I do believe every time I've seen it, I've liked what I've seen. And there is something there. I can't deny it. You know, I probably want a Martinelli 9 more than an Ethan false 9 as a trial, if I'm talking about experiments and I'm being honest. But we don't go there, so I don't know why to suggest it
Just
anymore.
give it a run of games. I don't get it. One thing I will say is sometimes it's too easy to pin us back, and this gives opponents unnecessary momentum. Need to feed into flick ball at all times. The one thing I will say on this is I do think, like, I like how we sit in and soak up pressure, but we like sort of, I get that, but I think there's occasions where I feel a ball will get mishit, and I'm wanting a Saka to jump and Odegaard to jump and just to step on a little bit more. It's hard because, like, ultimately our out possession work is so good, but there are occasions, and ultimately it's down to whether we win or lose, isn't it? There's often the games where we lose. I'm just feeling, have we quite got that balance right where we've sat in and soaked things up for a little bit? Could we be a bit more aggressive on the counter? Could we play the ball a bit quicker once we win it? Maybe. But look, our out of possession stuff is so good. I don't want to like sit here and rewrite the book because of one draw. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's hard to say.
Look, the only thing I'll say is a big reason, and now that Semenyo is off to City, why I was frustrated is that outlet over the top. I don't think we have enough of it. We've basically got Kai Havertz, and that's it. So when teams do pen us back, we've got the runners in Madueke, and in theory, Gyökeres should be a transition person to push the line back. But I don't think we've got somebody to go over the top as a reference point, something to like work off of. It's basically Havertz, and that's it. And I for many reasons, I like Semenyo, but that was one of them. And I don't think we have enough of that. So that's definitely something that I'd like to see. And it doesn't have to be a center forward, by the way. Like, it can be a winger who's a really good in and outlet. Like, you know, I think Bukayo is somebody that I can go over the top to and be trustworthy that he'll pull the ball out of the air. Like, it can come from all shapes and sizes, but I need somebody that's able to hold the ball on their own and doesn't need to be babied in a sense, but can bring us into the final third.
Yeah. Yep. Rohan on his burner account says, similar to our performance at Anfield, Arna always has Arteta's number after half time. Yeah, that's interesting. I would love to look at, because I've from memory, the second half against Anfield got similar. It was we were going long and stuff. I'd be curious what they did in both games and whether they've seen something. That's something to maybe have a look at. On the rewatch, Blanket, bad game on the ball off the first 20, kind of okay off the ball and our block, but our press died today. Bad day. Take the point, 6 ahead. Says Nugwall.
I was going to say Nugwall.
Nugwall. And your nice Arsenal top in a very nice looking lounge, by the way, Nugwall. Yeah, I don't think that's. I think that's probably a good summation of how we felt. Cafes 27 says, I'm butchering some of these names. Weight of expectation and emotion paralyzed them. We were expected to win and win well. The team and Mikel just didn't handle the moment. Yeah, I think this is part of it as well. We're saying we're winning the league. How good are we? We finally got over the line if Gabriel puts that ball in the net. But I think ultimately the performance shows overall that we allowed it to get the better of us a little bit, I think. And that's okay. That happens sometimes. I actually think this is the sort of game that maybe I'm glad happened now rather than, because this sort of, that game in April against City, that's another, clearly will be probably a lot of emotions riding on it. And I think this was a game, probably the most, maybe apart from Newcastle, the most emotional game of our season so far, the way we approached it and stuff. So yeah, it kind of, it felt like a little bit like to me the PSG game at home where like everyone's like ready for it all day. I wasn't as nervous as that game, but it did feel a bit like that. And then the first goal goes in, Dembele scores, and everyone's like completely deflated. So I hope we've got that out of our system a little bit. 3-0 penalty goals in 1,300 minutes for Gyökeres, unacceptable. Up to you to decide. Percy Chips says, what's your favourite dinner? And that is a good-looking steak. Oh my goodness.
Great. Well, how do you take your steak? Are you medium rare?
You know it, baby.
Okay, you're good. You're good people. I was going to say
medium rare, bit of peppercorn sauce. If you're in the UK, do you have flat iron in Canada?
We do have it. Yeah.
Bro, flat iron steak.
I'm a classic ribeye. Get me a well cooked ribeye, bone in ribeye, charcoals, little medium rare. Oh, Now we're talking.
You dirty dog. Bone in. I just want my meat. And so they chop it up for you already. And it's all just like straight in the peppercorn, mate. It's gorgeous. What's my favourite dinner? Steak's up there, you know.
It's
my
great.
girlfriend makes a really good ham hock gnocchi. It's really good. It may
really
goated. Ham hock.
Ham hock, eh? I don't think I've ever had that. I'm so simple. I love chicken wings. I know it's such just a simple hot chicken wings, you know, like again, got to get on the charcoals. Love me a bit of that. What else is good? I'm a big pasta guy. I really am. I could do a really great, like a matriciana pasta, little bit of, yeah. So, it's great. It's great.
I want to see a full 90 of Saka on the left. Oh! And Madueke on the right. I think Arteta needs to experiment a bit more up front. That's an interesting opinion, isn't it? I've said this for ages. I think it's a good idea. On the Madueke point, I do think with the way Kirkes plays, very on the front foot, very aggressive, I would have been curious to see Madueke up against Kirkes this evening. I would have liked to see that because we got him isolated a few times, and he dealt with Saka well coming on the inside, going on the outside. I think he struggled a bit more, but Madueke up against Kirkes, I think would have got a bit more change just from a 1v1 perspective. And then you need Saka on the inside to create something, but you know what I mean?
This is just not something to talk about nearly 51 minutes in, but I wanted the Saka. I wanted Saka on the inside and Madueke outside. I didn't like how peripheral Saka was. And the amount of times I saw Timber in that half space, it really frustrated me. And I have ways to make that happen. I remember when we had Madueke, it was one of the things where I thought there could be games in which we have both of them play. And that's maybe a thing for the tactical board to show exactly how that happens. But I would have loved to see that. I think that there's games where both of them can play. So, yeah.
Do you think our goal tally would have been different if the club went for Šeško instead? Not massively. Like people are seeing it with Šeško now. Like you're beginning to see what he can do. I think he would have gone through a similar adaptation period at Arsenal, but probably with more pressure. And this is the thing. Both, I think, certainly but I think also you were saying at the time, you sign Šeško alongside a Rodrigo. Whatever, you don't put all the pressure on him,
100%.
but you pair him with someone. But yeah, we would have, in my opinion, if not.
No, I'll go out there. I'll say it. I won't be afraid. We would have, and it's because of what he would have done for our game in the box. The aerial ability alone. Ironically, I will say this. I think if you swap the purchases of Gyökeres and Šeško, both teams, Manchester United and Arsenal, would be better with either of those strikers.
I actually really buy that. I love that take.
And you know, and that's the problem. They would have just been each of them in profile. And I don't think that, you know, the goal tally isn't the point. And, you know, it's just who suits which team better. And that's about it.
Yeah, boy. John Kaligi says double 23 as striker till the end of the season, mate. I do think this is worth a look as like the amount of games. If you just compare like Mikel Merino playing as a centre forward for Arsenal versus Jesus as well, by the way, and Gyökeres, the numbers don't lie, man. Never losing. Can we get a TCP live, please? I need therapy. That is coming. Sorry, not today because it was a Thursday. So you get your TCP live fix next week. Tell me, guys, when have we let our star boy play without shackles? Why not let him roam to left and combine? You can't pin defender deep and don't know how to play them. Apart from there's so many pauses in this podcast.
It's a lot of pauses.
Apart from cutbacks, what patterns? Thoughts on star boy?
No, I think there's been a lot more fluidity in the front line this year, period. I don't think this game was a good game for it. I think everyone was static and it was a poor game, but I think I've seen plenty of times that they've been able to have Saka drift off to the left and change position. Like he's done it a lot more this season. Could he do it more? Yeah. I think that there could be a lot more freedom that we give him. I don't like how often Saka is the one that's on the peripheral. ultimately, as far as the rotations go, we can do a lot better about having him more often on the inside and in the half spaces. Definitely still think that's something we can improve on. But as far as fluidity goes, I just think across the entire front line, there's definitely been more movement, more willingness, even Odegaard to drift left this season. Like there has been some of that stuff. So I can't be obtuse and say that there hasn't, but there's room to go. And I think the biggest thing is I want Saka in those half spaces a bit more. I don't think he always has to be the lane 5 entry on the right.
Colonnade. Everyone was painfully bad today offensively, except Timber, who's probably the best player in the team. Gabriel should have scored that. I feel like we're not making enough of that. I think because it happened at the end and it just felt like a wet fart at the end. He was up
he misses
there, back post. He misses it.
He misses it entirely.
These are the famed managers of football, guys. Yeah, Timber. I actually thought Timber was really good, and like I don't love the usage of him in the half space because let me try and phrase this properly. I think there's a better player to put in there, but I don't think he could perform better. Does that make sense? Yeah. He's a fullback. He's doing his best in there. I think the runs off the last line he's making, some of the cutbacks he's doing are decent. I think he's making himself available. He understands obviously that combination with Saka and actually particularly with Saliba this evening. Him and Saliba are having some decent combinations. I just think if you have Eza there, it's like it's a different game, or a Waneri there, it's a different game. So you know, it's about that for me. But I think Timber himself is not a problem. Felt we respected him too much. Timber MVP, a lot of love for Timber in the chat this evening. Defense still rock solid. Pause. 6 points clear. We move. It's late. It's 5 to 11 here, George.
It's getting late, mate.
Yeah. Jan swoop for Watkins.
Stop making me angry.
It's 2025 again, George.
It's deja vu.
It's deja vu. We're on this exact
Alex, we haven't had a forward in the entire year of 2024. Yeah.
How do we get Mudryk back? Blend all of our strikers into one. Might score more. We might. We might. You are right. CK says we pass and duel well at the midfield, but do we like dribbling, like quick Santi feet, Shaboj and Mac dribbled well for Paul to progress centrally? I would like to see a bit more carry in the midfield. I can't lie. I buy that, especially from Zubi and Rice.
Our Halo and boys would help a bit with some of those things. But yeah.
Maxi, your time is coming. I feel like Ben instead of Miles and Timber left back. Yeah, interesting. But that makes Miles fourth choice left back.
You know what, though? If I'm being honest, okay, you know what? I don't hate that. And I actually am confused why we haven't seen it as much. Because there's been moments in which, like, for example, I mean, Timber was brilliant there. You know what I mean? And if we're talking, I think with Madueke, it's the wrong choice, right? Like when you have a Madueke type of winger, then having Ben there is a little bit of an issue. But I think especially like when you're starting, and if you want Saka to come inside a little bit, I don't know why Timber at left back has just been a non-factor. I don't think he can't play there. And, you know, I think especially if we're concerned with the lockdown defending and some of those stuff, like I think that's an option for sure.
Never losing. Final super chat. Any transfer suggestions, George, that could help? Well. Aren't you lucky? We have a scouted episode dropping probably tomorrow evening or Saturday potentially. I think we're doing Gehi, are we?
Yeah.
We need to sign another defender. That's what we need. After the links coming out today from David Ornstein, we thought it might be a good time to scout Mark Gehi, who I thought was 28 and he's 25. We'll finish there. We will finish there. Thank you all for joining us for nearly an hour post that Liverpool game. Hope that was therapeutic. So many pauses. But look, we are 6 points clear. It was a tough evening. It had been raining. It was raining for both teams. But look, we're 6 points clear. And I think when I look at the run-in and I look at the health of the squad generally, I hope Nkapie is okay. Sounds like Calafiori is not far away. Sounds like Mosquera's not far away. Sounds like Havertz isn't far away. I'm still quite optimistic. A
big win against Chelsea and everybody's happy.
Yeah, baby. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much, Georgiano Ronaldo.
Thank you, good sir.
I thought you were going to do it all like Alexi Messi. No.
I don't think I can do that. I'm too white.
And so am I. In some ways. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for keeping it Arsenal.
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. This was one kind of queue the ladies thoroughly enjoyed.
Electrifying. Electrifying. Inspiration.